Welcome to the University of North Florida 2019 Veterans Tribute. We're really glad you're all here. Your event today is hosted by the Military and Veterans Resource Center here at the university. My name is Bob Buin. I'm the director, and our whole staff is here, and I'll introduce them later. But we have a great event. We really are happy about all the folks who set up the tables, so I hope you take advantage of looking at those. First time in the 9 years we've been doing this, you'll see the cameras around. Spinnaker TV is live streaming the event. So welcome to the 21st century. I'm very happy, and I thank very much the folks from Spinnaker, the student-led group that are doing this. So, of course, none of you you're gonna see it live, but I sent the link to lots of our partners who couldn't be here. So very happy about that. As our ceremony begins, we'll have our UNF Army ROTC color guard here will present the colors. The UNF Brass Quintet will play the national anthem. Then the colors will retire, and we'll offer an invocation from Chaplain Crocco here. So I just fill you in on that, in that we ask you stand now if you're able and remain standing through the invocation. Our invocation will be offered by Chaplain Kirk Crocco of Community Hospice and Palliative Care, who has served as a chaplain in the Navy and the Marine Corps and provides the spiritual care for the veterans at the Clyde Lassen Veterans Nursing Home in St. Johns County. Chaplain Crocco.
Thank you, Bob. Let us pray. We are here, O Lord, to thank you and to ask for your blessing upon all gathered here today, our veterans, both past and present, our warriors, both home and abroad, for the steadfast devotion of our families and for our beloved America. Long may she stand. You know every veteran by name. You know of their heroic deeds, faithful dedication, and their resolute perseverance. And Lord, you also know how deep a warrior's wounds go. You know of their injuries that many of our veterans carry in body and in soul. You know the memories that haunt them and the burdens that many of them continue to carry to this day. So we ask, bring healing to those veterans who still hurt, and grant patience and wisdom to those who walk this journey with them, and with that, the blessing that comes with your enduring love for us all. And for our young men and women who are serving today, protect them, be their constant companion, be their strength in battle, their refuge and their shield in every adversity, Be their light through the darkest valley. Guide them through the longest day. Walk with them as they go in harm's way. And inspire the heart of our country to never forget there is no greater love than when a man, a woman, a warrior lays down their life for their friend, for their family, or for their country. And for those who have given and will give their life in this world, may they have life everlasting in the one to come. May your angels abound in this place, encircle all who are here, and may they never leave their side. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please be seated. I want to thank the UNF Army ROTC unit for that great color guard and the brass quintet for the national anthem. Let's give them a round of applause. Well, thanks everyone for joining us here at UNF for our part of the Celebration of Valor season here at the city of Jacksonville, which the centerpiece of which is Monday's Veterans Day Parade downtown, the largest in the state of Florida, one of the largest in the country. So I encourage you to go enjoy that on Monday. We're proud that this tribute has become part of the city's events that are listed. And we have with us today from the city of Jacksonville, Bill Spann and Caroline Atkins. Bill's heads up the Military Affairs and Veterans Department and a great partner of ours. So we appreciate being part of that, Bill. Now I would like to bring to the stage our Provost, Dr. Simon Rhodes, with some words of welcome. Provost?
Good morning. Welcome to UNF. We're really pleased to see everyone here. On behalf of President Szymanski, who sends his regrets, he's out of town on university business, and the entire UNF family of faculty, staff, students, and alumni, we thank all veterans for their service. We're also thankful to the families, friends, and groups that provide support to the men and women in the military and to our veterans. At UNF, we are very proud that many veterans, those in active service, and their families are among our students. We're proud of the success of these students and the small part that we play in their life success. I want to thank the staff and students of the UNF Military and Veterans Resource Center. This center was established in 2009 to serve as the primary point of contact for active duty military veterans and their family members on campus. The center is committed to ensuring that military-affiliated students successfully make the transition from the military environment to campus life and are assisted in their progress towards completing their academic degree. The center also serves as a resource to veteran employees, provides guidance and referrals to assist with coaching, mentoring, and integration into our campus community. This is an importantly committed group of people, and I'm going to read all their names. My thanks to Bob Boone, Karen Johnson, Teresa Hammock, Willie Mitchell, Tammy Cronin, Emmy DeBruzzi, and the student assistants, Asia Bell, Julius Covington, Connor Foreman, Amanda Leslie, and Charla Nehemiah. I want to also be sure to thank the members of the UNF Student Affairs Community Council for their support of this center. They've done amazing work, and a lot of this is thankful to you, and we're very grateful I can see some of you here today. So again, on behalf of the entire UNF family, we welcome you here today, and we're most grateful for the service of all the veterans. Thank you, and welcome to UNF.
Thank you, Provost. We appreciate that. And you saved me some time, too, with the staff. Thank you. Of course, we do want to recognize the Provost. We want to recognize Associate Provost Dan Moon, who's here. And I think our VP Marketing, Eric Bruder, may be here. If not, sorry. The Provost mentioned the Student Affairs Community Council and the Vet Committee of that group, critical to our success. Major General Jerry Maloney, right here in front, who has led that group for a decade. Dr. Ann Flipsy, Ann is back there in the shade. Donalea Gels, who's the chairman. Donalea's right here. Art Billingsley is on that group, and I saw him here, and Bill Spann is part of that group. And Captain Rick Hoffman is here. He is on the Student Affairs Community Council right back here. So we really thank those folks. Our good friend, Lieutenant General Rick Tryon, U.S. Marine Corps retired, is right over here. He's on the faculty here at UNF and has been a mentor to us for a long time. We appreciate him being here, and he is also on the board of the Wounded Warrior Project. So great link, General. Thank you for being here. A few others, our friend Steve Murray from the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs sitting right up front here. Really appreciate him being here, and he's got a vested interest. He's an Osprey dad. His son goes to school here, so we're really happy about that. A couple of students I want to introduce. Kat Madorma she might be back at the table there, but, oh, she's over here. Kat, stand up for a second, Kat, because this is the student leadership. Kat is the president of the Student Veterans of America UNF chapter, and they're a great group, well organized, and they do good things for all students here, really. And sitting next to her, Brandon Gettings is the president of ODS, Omega Delta Sigma, which is a national co-ed veterans fraternity. So we have well-organized student veterans here at the University of Florida, or North Florida. I want to introduce my friend, the president of the Navy League here in Jacksonville, ironically an Army Colonel, Bill Cousins. And his wife, Dr. Karen Cousins, is on the staff here as Director of Undergraduate Research. Matt Dews is here from Senator Rubio's office. Where's Matt? Matt, thanks for coming. And Matt helped us not too long ago when the senator came and had lunch with student veterans here in our center. That was a great event. We really appreciate it. My friend Lisa Marie Winslow is right here from Kaiser University. They're a partner and a friend, and we share ideas with our friends at Kaiser. So thanks for being here. There are many others from the staff that are here, the deans, directors. We appreciate you all being here. Just too many to get to today. Today's a day when we honor veterans for their patriotism and their willingness to serve. It's an all-volunteer force since about 1973, so everybody who's a veteran since then did it because they wanted to. They volunteered. And I always like to say that veterans are a link to history because just by nature of being in the military, you are going to be caught up in historic and world-shaking events. I mean, that's where you go for those things. So even if, as an individual, you may play a small role, you're part of history. And we have two guests today who certainly fit that description. One has been with us before, John Frank. And John is right here up front. John is a Navy veteran who participated in the Normandy invasion, Omaha Beach, D-Day. John, we're honored to have you here. John will be, he was recently, for the D-Day celebrations, was interviewed, had a great TV interview, and he's been here before, and his son, Dr. John Frank, was here on the faculty for a long time. So, great friends. Also, another World War II veteran, Robert Connolly, who's right here in the third row with the blue ball cap on. Robert, who's the father-in-law of Dr. Linda Connolly. 95, almost 96 years old, 48 missions in the B-26 in Europe. So another World War II veteran and a piece of history. Honored to have both of you here. Thanks. So, what better place than an institution of higher learning than to have to preserve these kind of stories, to honor in that and make sure that we don't forget. So we really thank you all for being here for part of it. And now I'd like to introduce our distinguished guest speaker, which we're very pleased to have with us, Captain Dan Gillen from U.S. 4th Fleet out in Mayport. He's a graduate of the University of Wisconsin. He's a career surface warfare officer. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Navy, those are the ship drivers. He served on an amphibious ship, 2 destroyers, a frigate, and 3 cruisers. And listen to this, he commanded USS McFall, which is a destroyer, and USS Sway City, which is a cruiser, both tip-of-the-spear warships, and they don't give you 2 unless you did really well with the first one. So we know he's a great ship handler and warfighter. On shore duty, Captain Gillen has served on the Navy staff in the Pentagon, which is hazardous duty in itself, at Navy Personnel Command in Millington, Tennessee, and U.S. Central Command in Tampa. He's got a master's degree from Naval Postgraduate School and the Air War College. He's currently director of the Maritime Operations Center at U.S. Naval Forces South, U.S. 4th Fleet in Mayport. I offer Captain Gillen. Sir?
Thank you, Captain Buren, for the introduction. Provost, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, American veterans, thank you for inviting me to join you in celebrating this cherished and solemn day. On the 11th of November, 1918, a terrible war ended after more than 4 years. Back then, they called it the Great War. In the end, the stalemate of the Western Front was broken by 5 million American veterans who finally won peace for America and the world. The next November, 1919, was set aside by President Woodrow Wilson to commemorate the sacrifices of the American veteran and to remind Americans of the tragedies of war. It was called Armistice Day. At first, because many people believed and dearly hoped that the Great War was the war to end all wars. An American military commander once wrote about his soldiers, quote, "To see men without clothes to cover their nakedness, without blankets to lay on, without shoes by which their marches may be traced by the blood on their feet, marching through frost and snow, and at Christmas taking up their winter quarters, without a house or hut to cover them, and submitting to it without a murmur, is a mark of patience and obedience, which in my opinion can scarce be paralleled," unquote. That was General George Washington writing to the Continental Congress from Valley Forge, Pennsylvania in December in 1777. The father of our country was writing about the American veteran and the devotion with which they have served throughout our country's history. More than a century after the Continental Congress, America made a day to remember its brave veterans. Only 20 years passed, and the Great War was followed by World War II. All too soon, America was fighting at the two great oceans and several continents. Young American veterans were once again called upon for service and sacrifice. Through 4 bitter years, 13 million American men and women served America in the Second World War. Many were lost or wounded. Their buddies and shipmates who survived kept fighting and endured through to victory. And when they got home to the United States, they built the greatest prosperity in human history. They fed, clothed, and helped to rebuild the societies of not only our allies, but also our former enemies. At the same time, the veterans and their fellow citizens made the freest, strongest, proudest nation on earth. They did all this at home while having to fight another enemy of human freedom, the Soviet Union. The veterans of Valley Forge gave us our country. The veterans of America since, for more than 2 centuries now, have preserved the country that was won in battle. Even now, American veterans on active duty serve their country all over the world. Today, we have 2.15 million men and women serving in the armed forces. They are serving in more than 160 countries on all 7 continents. U.S. forces continue to be engaged in a number of military operations, such as Operation Inherent Resolve, and other military actions related to Iraq and Syria. Operations Freedom Sentinel, including support to the NATO-led Resolute Support Mission. U.S. military actions in Yemen against al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and ISIS. U.S. military actions in Somalia against ISIS and al-Shabaab. And U.S. military actions in Libya against ISIS and al-Qaeda in the lands of the Islamic Maghreb. For the Navy, we have 83 ships deployed today, including the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group in the Middle East. From Mayport, the Navy's best kept secret right down the road from UNF. USS Detroit, a littoral combat ship, just deployed last week to the Southern Hemisphere to support counter-narcotics operations and help stop the poison coming into our country. Sailors, Marines, soldiers, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen perform their service every day, night of every year, on their mission of service for peace and freedom. On the ground, in the air, and on every sea and ocean, American veterans are on duty. I will now talk a bit about veterans I know best, my shipmates on watch around the world in the Navy. Navy ships, submarines, aircrafts, with tens of thousands of America's finest men and women are deployed doing just that. They will be there when we are sleeping tonight. They will be there every Saturday, Sunday, and holiday this year. They will miss birthdays, anniversaries, baby's first steps, soccer games, and Christmas. Our sailors are around the clock defending America at all times. America's Navy veterans protect America on two fronts. They protect our national security through forward presence, and by projecting our national power around the globe, they prevent and deter wars. And when necessary, they fight and win wars. But they also preserve America's prosperity by protecting the U.S. economy. Our economy fundamentally depends on the unimpeded flow of commerce and information on and under the seas. More than 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. 80% of the world's population lives close to a coast. 90% of all global trade by volume travels by sea. Your Navy veterans operating forward ensure this flow of goods remain unimpeded. Every time American veterans stand against our threats and enemies. This leads me to my first request. Only 1% of young people are both eligible and inclined to have a conversation with a military about possible service. The U.S. military could have some real manpower challenges, both in quantity and quality. Our number one influencer of young people to join the military is our veterans. Young people look up to your service and experiences. Veterans, you still have one lasting assignment. Please continue to talk to your sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, and neighbors. If you are a student, talk to your classmates. And if you're older, talk to your grandchildren. Tell them about the great adventure you experienced in the military, all that you learned, and explain your pride in service. If they are inspired by your service, bring them down to the nearest military recruitment office to talk to a Navy recruiter or any of the other military service branches. Almost every new sailor I interviewed on the ships I served aboard had a veteran that influenced them. And myself, my great-grandfather served in Kwajalein. My great-uncle was in the Frozen Chosen. I had a second cousin who was in Quezon, and a list goes on. Many, many relatives all influenced me to join military service. Our challenge is that there are less veterans today to influence America's youth. So we need you more than ever. My second request to the city of Jacksonville and the Northeast Florida region, please remain one of the most veteran-friendly cities in our country. Please continue to extend support and hospitality to not only our veterans, but to their families as well. Military families move frequently, and consequently children transfer schools and spouses change jobs to support their service. Welcome our military families. Please remember those parents that are new, they may be new to the area, and they may have a spouse that's deployed at the time. Today's veterans are fighting for America once again. In 2001, evil terrorists attacked us. 18 years later, veterans are still fighting overseas to find the enemy, on their own grounds and keep them from launching further attacks here. Besides terrorist groups, there are countries who are looking to overturn the current rules-based international order and undermine the U.S. in order to subvert America's network of allies and partners. We continue to need brave young men and women to be veterans, defending our great nation and values. Duty and country, that is the code and definition of Americans' veterans. From the first day of our nation to today's new war. God bless America and the veterans who served her. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Gillen. Many of you are familiar with the challenge coin, and I'm now going to present Captain Gillen with the MBRC coin. Very inspirational words, thanks. And his point was good. We have this base right up the road at Mayport that's doing great things for our country, and a lot of people never even realize it's there. So thank you for coming and being part of this. Well, we now want to, this fun part will put you to work. We're going to recognize all the branches of service with our service medley. I would also, just before I do that though, I'd like those who are here, who are UNF faculty or staff or any way working here at the university, who are veterans, to either stand or raise your hand. I know we've got quite a few. Look at that. That's great. Thank you all. Thanks. Great to be part of that. And as the provost mentioned, the MVRC is here for everybody, not just the students, but everybody else who works here too. So now we'll turn it over to the UNF Brass Quintet to play the service songs. And you should recognize your own service song, but just in case, I'll tell you which one's coming up. So please stand during your song. Go ahead. Army. Marine Corps. All right, Marines. U.S. Navy. Air Force. Coast Guard. All right. All right. Thank you, Brass Quintet. Beautiful job, as always. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just very slightly from your program right now. We have a special presentation I'd like to make, and I'd like Major General Jerry Maloney to come up to the stage, if you would, General. You can go around the stairs there. You can just take it out. General Maloney has been the staunchest supporter of the Military and Veterans Resource Center. He was drafted, he was just telling me the other day, he was drafted by the first director, Cindy Alderson, 10 years ago. In that decade, he's either been the chair of the Veterans Committee or the chair of the Student Affairs Community Council the whole time. And he's just been our most ardent supporter and also an inspiration to us. So what I'd like to do is present him from the staff, from all of us. It's a framed photo with our coin mounted. And I will tell January, this is a stunt photo. We're going to replace it with one of you with all of us, if we can ever get you to pose for a photo. But I thought he would enjoy this one because this was from one time when he spoke to this group. Remember you wearing your conquistador helmet? He has quite a collection of military headgear. But Thank you, General.
I suppose I should say something.
Well, we hadn't planned on it, but that's okay.
I've been sitting next to this beautiful girl over there, and this was right next to her, and I had no idea what it was for. So I accept this on behalf of all of the people that I worked with for 10 years or more here and all over this great university. And thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Thanks, General. We want you to keep visiting the MVRC. Come for your coffee, whenever. Well, we will now close with a benediction by Chaplain Crocco.
Let us pray. May God bless this country in his love. May God clothe this country in his care. May God forever hold us and ours in his holy embrace and grant us his peace. And may God bless America. Amen.
Amen. And thank you, Chaplain. And as we close, I just want to say thanks to everybody involved. The provost did a great job of listing the staff from the MVRC. I want to especially note Teresa Hammock, who runs this thing from start to finish. We got help from parking services, from the student union, from Morgan here behind the screen for his technical support. And I just want to tell you, our next event is November 14th at the basketball game against Southern Miss is our Military Appreciation Night, and we're going to recognize the Veteran Student of the Year at that game. So join us there if you can. Thank you for coming. That concludes our ceremony.